New Extra Charge Hot and Iced Coffee from Dunkin' is made with 20% extra caffeine from green coffee extract, because we could all use a little extra this year. Whether that's an extra boost, some extra boldness, or the drive to go the extra mile, we're extra ready for whatever comes our way, and extra excited to take it on. Let's get it done with a medium extra charged coffee from Dunkin' for $2 with 20% more caffeine. And pair it with snackable stuffed bagel minis for an added all-day boost. Order ahead on the Dunkin' app. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for downloading Beer Nuts for free on iTunes or from ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate Beer Nuts 5 stars on iTunes and help to tell others about Beer Nuts by leaving a comment. Thank you for following Beer Nuts on Twitter at Beer Nuts Podcast and on Instagram at Beer Nuts Podcast. Please like the Beer Nuts Podcast on Facebook to like and share Beer Nuts. If you'd like to donate to Beer Nuts, you can click on the PayPal button at ChristopherMedia.net. If you use Amazon.com, please click and bookmark the Amazon link at ChristopherMedia.net. It will not cost you any extra money, and you will help to support Beer Nuts. If you're looking to launch your own website, please click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media uses HostGator to host all of the shows produced by the Christopher Media Network. When you click through the HostGator banner at ChristopherMedia.net and sign up for HostGator, you are helping to support Beer Nuts. TheBroBasket.com. Guys are tired of all those boring socks and ties. BroBasket is the answer to the age-old question, what do I get a guy? We know that choosing the perfect gift for a man is a difficult task, but not anymore. TheBroBasket.com is here to help. We all know men are hard to shop for, but what do guys actually like? Their favorite alcohol, that's what. It could be craft beer, wine, whiskey, scotch, or tequila. TheBroBasket.com will put it in a gift basket full of their favorite gear and goodies. You can customize your own BroBasket or choose from a variety of different BroBaskets, like the Ultimate Import Sampler, the Jack and Coke gift set, or the Junior Executive gift basket. Boozeless but still cool BroBaskets are also available. TheBroBasket.com gives you many shipping options to choose from, including rush delivery and Saturdays. 21 and over, please. State and local laws apply. Beer, wine, and liquor are not available for shipping in all states. You can help to support Christopher Media by clicking through the TheBroBasket.com banner at ChristopherMedia.net. Alcohol gift baskets. What men really want. Men used to be hard to shop for. TheBroBasket.com.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. Welcome to Beer Nuts, a weekly excursion into the world of craft beer, brought to you by MichiganBeerGuide.com. And now, here are the Beer Nuts.
Welcome to Beer Nuts. This is episode 74, I believe. And tonight, the name of our episode is Anything But Pumpkin Beers. And that's kind of a joke, but kind of not, because tonight we have the three original Beer Nuts. Myself, JR, and welcome Uncle Pete.
Hey, everybody.
And Dugout.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
And as longtime listeners of the show probably know, none of us care for pumpkin beers very much. So that's why we named it the Anything But Pumpkin Beer episode. We wanted to get those autumn, fall seasonal beers and ciders and other beverages that you might enjoy this time of year in the show, but we actually put on a disclaimer that some of the other beer nuts that were going to join us were allowed to introduce a pumpkin beer. But as it turns out, none of us on the episode have one or desire to have one. So,
I kind of do. I sort of do, but it's not. We'll find out.
Okay, well, see, you'll just have to keep listening for that. So before I turn it over to Pete, who's going to give us our quote of the week and introduce our first beer, I just want to, as we always do, invite everybody to crack open a cold beer and enjoy it with us as we go through the show. We're not pretentious here. We're not out to exclude anybody. Anybody who enjoys beer is welcome at our table and to enjoy a beer with us. So whether you like a fizzy yellow lager or you're a advanced beer snob, please join us. Really, the basis for the show is just to introduce more people to more good beers. So with that being said, I'm turning it over to Uncle Pete, who will give us our quote of the week.
All right. Well, I once heard somebody ask, what's the proper way to taste a pumpkin beer? You open it up and pour it down the drain.
Bada bing.
That was straight to the point, wasn't it? Right to the jugular.
Amen. Well, that's what I would do with most of them. I think I've tried about 20 pumpkin beers, and the only one I liked was from Cigar City called Great Gourd, and it's a gourd, not a pumpkin, so I still have yet to find a true pumpkin beer that I enjoy.
I've had quite a few that I've liked, but Southern Tier seems to take the cake when it comes to those. Warlock, the bourbon barrel aged Warlock, the bourbon barrel aged Pumpkin. Those are great beers, in my opinion.
Those are about the only ones I could probably handle as well.
Isn't doesn't Southern Tier also do a rum pumpkin one, Rum King or something?
Yes, they do.
Well, I've never had that, but I'm not about to start now. So
the rum sounds good.
Not going to argue with you there. Well, I'm thirsty. Let's crack something open, Pete. You're going to introduce our first beer. What do you got there?
All right, let's do it. Okay, we've got an autumn IPA from Deschutes Brewery. Deschutes is up in Bend, Oregon. Very nice place. I've been to Bend, Oregon. It was in the mid-'80s. I don't know how long Deschutes has been around, but I know I didn't visit the brewery way back then. But beautiful place, beautiful part of the country, and did some snow skiing up there. So I'm going to pour this up. This is called Hopzite Autumn IPA. It's a traditional Marzen, like an Oktoberfest, straight from Munich, Marzen style. But it uses some modern, interesting hops, actually. Hops that, three different hops that I have not heard of. Hercules, Sterling, and Hull Melon. The malt is Munich, Vienna, and Pilsner, so it's a standard European malt base. But these hops, it'll be interesting to find out what they smell like, what they taste like. It's a 7% alcohol beer, 60 IBU, and about 230 calories in a 12-ounce bottle. So pours very clear, a nice amber color, white head on it, just taking a good smell. Got a very nice aroma of, just taking a good smell here. Getting kind of flowery, a little bit of fruit. Ooh, spicy. Wow, that's a very interesting beer right there. It's got a very interesting upfront spice, almost a peppery. Has kind of a very dry bitterness immediately. It's really an interesting beer. I don't think I've ever tasted something like this before. JR, did you take a sip of this yet?
Yeah, I have. It's I first get that malty Oktoberfest, that Marzen flavor from it, but then it just bursts with, the hops are pretty strong for a beer that style. You're normally used to just a subtle noble hops, but it jumps out at you. And like you said, there's it's not your typical hops that we're used to, the tropical, juicy, citrusy hops. It's more of a peppery, like you mentioned, spicy. There's a little zest to it. It jumps out at you, and it's a very interesting beer. I'm still trying to figure it out. It's because from the really, really beautiful appearance and a very healthy carbonation, but really nice and clear, like you said, and a nice light gold, reddish brown, amber, copper color almost, and then definitely definitely the aroma smells like that Marzen, that malty, caramely smell, versus kind of surprised the hops don't jump out at you very much in the aroma, but they certainly do in the flavor. So I'm going to take a sip again.
Very bold, very bold. I mean, it struck me as soon as I drank it. It was unexpected for a Marzen.
Yeah, I agree. This is a very unique beer. It's like something I've never had before, and definitely would encourage anybody to check this out. It's pretty enjoyable, but it's really very hard to describe. It's almost like two styles meet and form as one. But make no mistake, it's not like there's one flavor and another. It's one flavor, but it's just you got that malty Marzen German flavor, from the get-go, and then just the hops just take over, and the hops are spicy hops. But it's very enjoyable.
It's got a sweetness to it, and it's kind of the more that I leave it on my tongue, the more I leave it there, actually getting a sweetness and a little bit of bubble gum. Honestly, it's kind of weird. But that's what I'm getting.
A little bit, but it's not. It's. I say there's a lot of hops in it, but they're not the bitter hops that we're used to. Like you said, there's plenty of sweet malt here to thwart any bitterness. And I know there's 60 IBUs in this, but I would never know that. It certainly doesn't smell hoppy at all. And
right.
the
agree.
Sweetness in the malt really cut that 60 IBU that you don't really notice it. I would venture to guess it would be about 20 IBU by blind tasting this, but
yeah.
It's a good beer for this time of year.
Yep. If you like a good, bold IPA with a new and interesting hop character, try out the Deschutes Hopzite Autumn IPA. Interesting, on their website, they have a hashtag, and it's so coincidental, right in line with our theme tonight. It's hashtag Say No to Pumpkin Beer.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, I'm going to finish this up. And let's see here. I'm going to crack open our next beer then. So this was a pretty broad episode category, anything but pumpkin beer, anything you'd enjoy drinking in the fall. And this particular beer, I just happened to see at the beer store. I didn't even hear anything about it. No fanfare. It just kind of showed up on the shelf one day, and I was like, it is a Brewery Vivant Pear Tree IPA. And I just found it very interesting. I had heard nothing about it. I really like pear ciders and anything pear. It's so I said, I got to try this and see what it's all about. So I've got a 16-ounce can of it right here. It's let's see here, Pear India Pale Ale made with pear juice. Ale made with pear juice. So I'm going to pour a glass, and then I'm going to let Pete have some, and then I'll review it, and we'll read what's on the can. I couldn't even find this on their website, so I'm really, really excited to try it. So it actually, it's about the same copper hue that the other one is, but this one is not clear. It's a little bit cloudy. Got a really nice, like a half a finger head here that is not going away anytime soon, so nice effervescence, some carbonation there. Smells definitely a little bit more hoppy than the last one on the aroma, but not overwhelming. So I'm going to sip it now. I didn't really smell the pears in the aroma, but definitely can taste it in the liquid. Take another sip. So it's also a little bit sweet, probably from the pear juice. Without going into detail, first thing is it's mellow and delicious is the best way to describe it. It does not blow you away with, tons of bitterness or hops. It's kind of a subtle. That's not one of those punchy in the mouth beers. It's something that would be very easy to drink. And there's pear in here, but it's not sweet pear. It's not so sweet that it would be, overpowering the hops. It's almost perfect amount of pear in here to complement the hops. It's there, but it's there as part of a bigger concert here. So I'm really enjoying it. One more quick sip. Yep, I can definitely taste the sweetness on the sides of my mouth and the sides of my tongue. It's just rarely mellow, easy to drink. Not, that's the descriptors I can think of. Just you can taste the fruit in this, but it's not sweet by any means. It's a little bit of sweetness, but probably no more sweet than the last beer we had. What do you think, Pete?
I like it. I just was having a sniff and trying to get some aroma off of it, and it does have a sweet nectar kind of a smell to it. For me, if I had my eyes closed and I wasn't even ever thinking about pears, I'm not sure that pear would come to mind. but it does have a sweet nectary smell. It did have a little bit of hop aroma, but not much. But it's a very smooth, kind of a creamy beer. Very sweet, pleasant. Taste of pear juice to me. And just with a little bit of hop influence there. I'm not sure what it is, but it's very nice.
Okay, well, I'm going to read from the can here. It's Brewer's Reserve. Always love this is one of the first craft beers that I've seen with the new Brewers Association independent craft icon on it. So I love to see that, to identify that it's an independent craft brewer, to combat the faux crafts. So that's really cool. It's got a picture of a pear here on Pear Tree IPA, 6.3%. Brewery's Reserve Series. It says Pear India Pale Ale made with pear juice. This one-off beer is a true expression of what happens when the brewers get a bit wild. A bizarre yet delicious mashup of pear juice and Hallertau Blanc hops. This IPA is a crisp autumn treat. We pulled back the reins on the esters to let the seasonally ripe pears shine. Glassware and pairing. We love to serve this beer out of a large tulip-shaped glass to emphasize pear and hop aromatics. This is excellent as a sipper or as a companion to fresh goat cheese, melon salad, caramelized pears, or fried chicken. I'd love to have some fried chicken with this right now, but it's really enjoyable. They just said it's a one-off beer, so this might be something we might never see again. So I'm glad I got a 4-pack of this.
It's very light, very, very refreshing.
Yes, sir. We'll have to save you a can, Dugout. I think you would really like it.
Oh yeah, it sounds really good. That's for sure. And I'm a fan of Avant and have been there several times and just always enjoy the place.
Yeah, great brewery. If you get a chance to visit in Grand Rapids, highly recommended, and great food there. Great vibe inside the old. It's an old church. So, yep.
Actually, it's a funeral home. So. There's the church part and the funeral home part of it.
Like a chapel or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that I've been there twice, and both times everything I've ordered food-wise was stellar. So they've got some great chefs there, some great cuisine to go with their outstanding beers. So kudos to Brewery Vermont and this Pear Tree IPA. If you have a chance to get it, it looks like it's going to be here and gone pretty soon. So our listeners in Michigan, grab it while you can. It's a pretty good one. So alrighty now, I guess it's Dugout's probably getting pretty thirsty. Listen to us drink, so it's his turn. Take her away, Dugout.
All right. So I alluded to pumpkin, but there's no pumpkin in the beer. What I have is from Jolly Pumpkin Artisanal Ales, which is located in Dexter, Michigan. Several brew pubs across Michigan, and they mainly do sours. So this particular one from them is called Forgotten Tales of the Last Gypsy Blender. It's Series 2, Volume 1. From what I've been reading, there is blend A, B, and C, but I believe that's stamped onto this brown bottle, and I'm in no way, shape, or form to be able to read that small a print at this point. So we're going to take a guess on that, which blend I have. So this particular beer is part of a series, obviously, with the volumes and the numbers. And they're brewed with a chef named Selena Teo, who is a James Beard Award-winning chef. So no slouch there. This particular beer is brewed with beech and cherry smoked malts, bourbon smoked sugar, Kiawe smoked sea salt, lemons and lime peel, and let's just dig into this one. So it pours sort of a murky off gold, kind of a beige, very fine lacing on it. Bubbles are quite small in it. I mean, the nose is just sort of tart fruit. and then get into it. Wow, there's a lot going on in this one. It's from what I understand, it's it was inspired by the whiskey sour, hence the bourbon smoked sugar, and then there's the sea salt in it and the citrus. What I get off of it is just sort of a nice tangy tart start to it. It's not overly acidic, and you get some real complex sort of lemon and citrus and peppery, because there's some rye in this. You got all these things going on, and then it finishes off in this sort of bitter lemon orange peel type of finish, like almost like you bite into a peel of an orange, that kind of bitter, but it's dry and it just drops off almost immediately. It just kind of leaves you that bitter tang on the back of your tongue. It's really, really an interesting beer. I wish you guys had some to taste. And as I said, as far as sours go, it's not horribly acidic, so it's really on the drinkable scale for these types of beers. It coming in at 7% ABV, 45 IBUs, and I believe the blend is there's 3 different blends in this. There's 3 different beers that are blended into this, and they're aged in oak 18, 13, and 15 months. The hops in it are Cascade, Pearly, and Vanguard. But wow, what a cool beer!
Is a bomber?
It's a bomber. Yeah, it's a 750. That's really, and it's 750 at 7%. So that's pretty much why I'm only going with the one beer tonight, because
you can handle it.
Oh, I can handle it okay, but it's still a school night, you know. And the other one was a cider, and that one really laid more towards the acidic side. I can only drink so much acidic beer and call it a day. So this is a fantastic beer. I mean, if you see any of these series out, get them. I can remember another beer I had charred lemon in it. It's very reminiscent of that. Really heavy on the lemon peel. I don't get a whole lot of bourbon in this. I think the flavors of the citrus sort of overpower or actually blend into it, so there's not a bourbon standout. It's not actually aged in bourbon, so you don't get that real.
How about the sea salt? You getting any influence from that?
The sea salt, yes. The sea salt is there. It's not super salty, but I think that comes through in the finish, where you just kind of get up to a point and everything just drops off. And that's where you get that hint of salt in it.
Yeah, the salt maybe acting as a flavor enhancer of all the other rich, the other citrus flavors to really bring them out forward. And then after that's gone, you get this little bit of saltiness.
Yeah, you just get a little salty but really dry drop off when you're drinking the beer. So there's not much linger to it. I really recommend this one. I mean, I like a lot of different Jolly Pumpkin beers. They work within a framework, I believe, so if you taste 1 or 2 or 3 of them, or sort of went round robin, you'd always be able to pick out the Jolly Pumpkin. It always has its distinct flavor to it, or the yeast characteristics they use are very consistent. Their beers don't vary a lot quality wise. I think they bring it to the table.
Which series was it called?
This is Forgotten Tales of the Last Gypsy Blender, and this is Series 2, Volume 1.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to compliment you on the review. I mean, you made me salivate when you were talking about the orange and the bitters and the whiskey sour characteristics. I love a good whiskey sour, but that beer, even though you say the bourbon isn't pronounced, the way you described it makes me really want to run out to the store tomorrow and find this. So please send me a picture of the label so I can get the right one. I got to try this. That was a great description.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I really rate it, on a scale of 5 stars. I'd definitely go over 4, maybe up to 4.5 on it. It's just it's got such a uniqueness. But
is it very smoky at all?
It's got a little bit of smoke to it. I think with all the smoke that's, when you read the ingredients, you'd think you'd be, think you're chewing on a piece of peat, peat moss or something. But it's not smoky like that. I think the smoke is very subtle in it, and it just really blends in. Everything blends in together. And then as you're drinking it and as it starts to warm, you start getting these different characteristics. But definitely the citrus is the highest notes in this.
Well, I'm sure some of our listeners will probably also want to go seek this out. So if you could try and check that one in on the Beer Nuts Podcast Untapped account, that might help everybody identify it and be able to go find it in a store. If you'd be so kind to do that after you drink that 750, it might not be till tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll get that one up there for sure.
I'm checking it out on the website. Does it have any indicators on there if it's blend A or blend B or blend C?
I can't tell, but I believe I have either
B or C.
B or C, just because of the amount of lemon that I'm getting off of it.
Well, if you find
either B or
these,
C.
buy them all.
I'll figure it out. I mean, yeah. Yeah,
buy them all. You won't be disappointed.
Yeah, it's
Jolly
B or C. I'm not sure which one.
And the great thing, a lot of you know that I'm still kind of new to the sour world. The great thing about Jolly Pumpkin is they're not overly sour to the point where they turn a lot of people off. They're kind of a good middle of the road starter sour type thing. So if you're kind of apprehensive about a sour, don't be afraid. Don't fear the Jolly Pumpkin sours. They're very approachable for someone who's not hasn't acquired the palate for sour beers yet. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, and as I mentioned, there's just an incredible consistency with their beers. So if you're drinking one and you're going to try another, you're going to get some similar type of product. But it's going to be a little different. They use some really great approaches to creativity, in my opinion, with things like kumquats and just some of the weird fruits that they put in. But nothing's over the top. I mean, it's not like you're chewing on a lemon. It's that tart or that sour. The flavors are in there, and the flavors are what really stand out.
I find myself when I'm in the beer aisle in front of the Jolly Pumpkin display, really studying the labels and reading about these beers. And like you said, there's such a variety of artisan input, with all the different flavors and all the different types of fruits and juices. And, they got the salts and smoked malts and all this crazy stuff. It's fun, I guess, to try to go through and learn about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even to just stop into one of their brew pubs and have a little sampler of some of the things they have. I mean, and great thing about their brew pubs is they're sort of a conglomerate in a way, or a co-op with several breweries. So North Peak Brewery you'll find on tap, along with Jolly Pumpkin. If you go into a Jolly Pumpkin, there'll always be North Peak Brewing on tap there. There's several breweries included in their cooperative. And one of the other great things I think about Jolly Pumpkin is their food is just top-notch, just some really good stuff.
All right, well, before we have you introduce the next beer, just want to mention that by the time you hear this episode, we will probably be enjoying some beers at the Michigan Brewers Guild Fall Beer Festival held at Eastern Market.
Hey, John, is your mic off?
Oh, yeah, okay. All right, thanks for that. Okay, well, before we introduce our next beer to Uncle Pete, we would like to just say that by the time you all hear this, we will probably either be at or have been at the Michigan Brewers Guild Fall Festival at Eastern Market. And what a great time for us to all visit the Jolly Pumpkin booth and try some of these beers. Maybe they'll even have this one, Pete. So I'm really looking forward to the festival. I'll be there with Schoolcraft College Brewing Program, pouring on Saturday early and setting up the booth on Friday. So I'll probably be there for a little bit each day. So looking forward to it. I know Pete's coming. Doug, out, you're going to be there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, look forward to that. Just wanted to give them a little mention because that's one of our favorite festivals of the year. So that being said, okay, Pete, what do you got for us next? I think we're going into Ciderland.
We are. We're going to go to the apples and fruit categories here. I've got from Northville Winery, it's Northville, Michigan, a 500 milliliter bottle of Bourbon Barrel cider. So it's definitely a hard apple cider, obviously treated to some time in Bourbon Barrel. I'm going to pour it up, and it looks, without even looking at the glass, just watching it come out of the bottle, I mean, it pours like water. Very clear, very light. I mean, this is probably the lightest yellow-colored beverage, other than 7-Up, let's say, that I've poured into a glass. So, almost looks like a glass of wine. There isn't really much information on the label, other than it's 6.9% alcohol, and not much information on the website and the details about this one. So I'm just going to take a look at it. Like I said, it's very clear, very light yellow. No head on it that's in any way in retention. Definitely getting some bourbon barrel aromas. Very nice, sweet aroma. Wow. Very mild, light flavor. Hints of barrel. Juicy apples. Not real acidic. Tart, a little bit of tartness in there. Oh, it's very good. I've had a few ciders. I've never had a bourbon barrel cider yet, so this is my first. And I must say, it's not overdone or overpowering in any way at all. If somebody said they don't really like bourbon barrel, I bet they would still like this cider. What do you think, JR?
If you'd have blindfolded me, or actually even without the blindfold, the appearance and the taste of this actually, it tastes like wine to me. There is the apple's there, but honestly, if you blindfolded me and I had a blind taste of this, I would have thought it was a glass of wine. But knowing what's in it, there's a little bit of maybe just a touched tart, really just very subtle green apple. I don't mean that in a bad way because green apple is known as like an off flavor in beer, but this is just the right amount of it. And I think the reason it probably comes across as a wine, I think that bourbon adds a little alcohol to it that normally a cider isn't strong enough to exhibit these characteristics like a wine. But the bourbon doesn't overpower, but for a cider, it's definitely on the far end away from sweet and closer to dry. So it's like very interesting and does not taste like what I expected it to taste like at all. I mean, it's very good. But I would have thought it was closer to a Chardonnay or a white table wine.
Absolutely, a Chardonnay comes to mind when you mention the wine. I mean, a lot of Chardonnays have a lot of heavy oak character and a lot of fruity character, and this has both oak and fruit in it, definitely. But it's just on the milder side, and it's really good. I mean, it wasn't cheap. I mean, this bottle was almost $10 for a 500 milliliter bottle. So it was an experiment. I just kind of reached out and said, "Let's give it a try." So,
hey, nothing wrong with it. I'm enjoying it. I'm just saying, maybe it's probably because wine gets a large influence from the barrel. And
absolutely,
I think this is definitely that barrel. I think is what's given this because without that barrel, this wouldn't taste like this. And the bourbon's there, but it's way in the background. But it's a very interesting and quite frankly enjoyable to drink. But it's definitely more, definitely reminds me of major wine characteristics. Not a bad thing, just is what it is.
Absolutely. No, I think it's a great cider for the fall, for harvest, and for autumn. So be a good one to be sitting around a little patio fire out on the back patio and enjoying the flavors of fall.
And now that I've had a couple sips of it, I am getting a little bit more of the apple in it, like green apple flavor, and also it kind of reminds me of that, like a drink with like a mixed drink that might have a little bourbon in it. So I think with a little time as it warms, it'll get a little bit more complex. But hey, it's a nice drink, and it's good for this time of year as we go into the colder weather. All right. Well, speaking of cider, I have a cider here, and I know that Dugout will be very happy to know where it's from because I know it's a cider mill that he has been to and I have not. But it's from Farmhouse Cider Company. Farmhouse Cider Company, Great Lakes Great Cider. It's in Dugout. Hudsonville.
Hudsonville, Michigan. Yep.
So what I have here is it's a limited release called Brunch Cinnamon Maple Semi-Sweet Cider. So let's open this can. It's a 16-ounce can, and I'm going to crack it open and let's have a taste. I'm going to give it to Pete first while I rinse a glass.
I'm over here trying to finish my glasses so I can have one available.
Well, it's like when we go off the air, Pete and I have a good time chatting over the leftovers. Can't let all these great beers go to waste.
Now, this is another one very light colored. It's almost equal to the bourbon barrel cider that we just poured as far as color. Definitely no head on it at all. I'll let you get into it, JR. It is my initial impressions.
Oh, you know what? Go ahead. You're on a roll. I'll let you go with it.
Kind of a sour, almost I get a little cinnamony aroma. Very much cinnamony on the aroma. Wow. That is like candy. Yep, the cinnamon, the sweetness from the maple, and the nice juiciness of the apples. What a combination. That's beautiful. Take this and put some barrel on it, and I think we'd have a 4-time winner right here. That's pretty good.
Yeah, this is pretty tasty here. Yeah, definitely on the aroma, I get cinnamon. This looks more of yellowish of a tint than the last one we had, which was lighter. This is definitely pronounced like a little yellow tint to it.
Yep.
I get a cinnamon and almost like a burnt toast aroma. Maybe it's the cinnamon. It tastes like it reminds me of cinnamon toast that's been in the toaster. I get a little toasty burnt. Not in a bad way, just like a lightly toasted flavor. But then you taste it, and it just got really nice balance between cinnamon and then some sweetness from the maple and it's semi-sweet from the apples. It's 6.9% alcohol. Let's go ahead and read what's on the can for you. First of all, ingredients: apples, Saigon cinnamon, Michigan maple syrup, and non-GMO sugar. Naturally gluten-free. Pancakes not included. Your favorite lazy Sunday brunch in a can. Best enjoyed with friends or pancakes. This cider can be served warm or cold for 2 unique experiences. Warm, it's cozy and spiced to curl up next to the fireplace with, while cold, it's the perfect semi-sweet blend of maple, cinnamon, and apple. Either way, it's totally delicious. At Farmhouse, we work hard to craft cider with 2 things in mind: authenticity and creativity. What started in 1866 when great-great-grandpa Klaus Behrens ventured from Germany to Michigan to build a family farm continues today on that same farm 5 generations later as we work to restore his dream and continue the adventure. Well, I have to say, this is fantastic. I'm really glad I hit a home run with this one. So I have not been to this cider mill, but Dugout has. Dugout, can you shine any light on us on your experience visiting the cider mill?
Well, sure. I mean, it's sort of out in the middle of the woods, and Hudsonville is just a little bit outside of Grand Rapids, Michigan. It's sort of right in the middle of a bunch of farms. There's quite a few farms surrounding it, and it's a dirt road you got to drive to get there, and just follow these little signs and pull in. There's this old house that's there. It's sort of dilapidated, and Hasn't really been fixed up yet. I think that's in the works. And then there's a small, tiny cider house where they're just crammed in with a shoehorn. And then right next to it is this big, giant monstrosity that's going up. That's going to be the main cider house. So we'll look forward to seeing a lot more of their products in the future. It's just a small little place with some picnic tables and some cornhole bags set up, and you got to kind of bring your bug spray because the mosquitoes get pretty heavy there, pretty much even in the daytime. I think they just had a big festival. I want to say last weekend was their big cider festival, but it's just a great experience to go there. Very laid back. There's a flight of 6 ciders that you can get. So if you do show up there, I definitely recommend going with the flight.
Yeah. Says they've been around quite a long time, 5 generations. It started in 1866.
Well, I think that's the farm that they're talking about, and not necessarily the cider house. I think that they do have orchards, but very much like we've mentioned in the past, where Blake's cider was, they were one of the largest orchards in Michigan, and it was only just a bunch of years ago that they started getting into the hard and alcoholic ciders. So, yeah, there's a generation of farmers, but, it's these guys that are there now that are making the hard ciders. I don't think they were originally hard cider.
No. Just the farm. I'm just saying the farm had started some 100 and, whatever.
Yeah, and you see that house and it's
ago.
That house is that old. You look at it and you're like, oh my God. But then you think, well, why don't somebody fix this place up? It's too cool to just be sitting there like that, But I think
sounds like a great place to go visit in the fall. If you want to go enjoy a cool Saturday out in the country at a farm and check out their cider house and taste some of these fantastic ciders. I mean, this brunch. I mean, what would be better than brunch on a Saturday than a can of this cider right here?
Yeah, and they've got a bourbon barrel, that cider that'll knock your socks off, and I mean that one is hardcore bourbon barrel. And it's up there in ABV. I really enjoyed all their ciders. They had a cucumber one. I don't necessarily like cucumber, and the cucumber cider was off the charts.
I love cucumber beer. I never thought about having a cucumber cider.
All I can say is I'm writing them a note to say, please bourbon barrel this, because this is phenomenal, and this would be great bourbon barreled. This is a fantastic cider, this brunch with cinnamon and the maple. And, you bourbon barrel this. I'll be lining up for the release. It's fantastic.
Some of the ciders I was, as I was standing and I saw some of these farmhouse ciders today on the shelf at the local store. But I did see a few that were hopped, with hops that you would normally throw into your beer, and that they're throwing hops into cider now. And I've never tasted one. Did either of you guys taste a hop cider?
I've had some dry hop ciders before. Yeah,
they're Blake's
hit or miss.
Blake's has a dry hop cider, and that's actually quite nice. I think you can't go nuts with it. I mean, you can't have 100 IBU cider. That's just not going to taste right. But when you use sort of earthier type hops, I think it adds a really nice flavor to it.
Wow. Here's one they've got. It's a raspberry chipotle cider.
Ooh.
That sounds like something that's magical. Wow.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody at Farmhouse, for that great offering. Glad we stumbled upon that one. And we were going to wrap things up after this, but since Dugout only has his 1/750, we're going to and we actually had some other beer nuts that we were hoping were going to join us that were unable to for recording this episode. So we're going to have the grand finale here very briefly. We're still, it seems like every time Pete comes over and we record, we break out another good beer to celebrate his retirement. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, Pete's retirement. So I broke out something a little special from a brewery I visited recently in Athens, Ohio, Jackie O's. So when we were waiting to start recording tonight, we took the liberty to open one, and it is appropriate for this time of year. I'll let Pete introduce the beer.
Okay, this is Jackie O's Cellar Cuvée 11, blend of barley wines aged in bourbon barrels. So it's a blend of barley wines. The Cellar Cuvée project is based on the art of blending. Multiple ales are married together after aging in oak barrels in the cellar. Cellar Cuvée 11 is a blend of 5 barley wine-esque barrel-aged beers. Dark to light, hoppy to malty sweet, and all aged in bourbon barrels. This one is for the eggheads and a heartfelt tribute to a style that is too often overlooked. Pair with English bread pudding, coconut cream pie, and the bluest of cheese. Comes in a 12.7 ounce bottle, 11.6% alcohol. And I know when I poured it, it was just a deep burnt caramel color. And the aroma is full of dark fruit and sweet burnt caramel. And the flavor is just so smooth, so smooth. I mean, if they took 5 different barley wines that were aged in bourbon barrels and came up with this, I mean, each one of them must have been good on their own, but put them all together, and this is like a liquid caramel candy right here to me. Very good. Thanks, JR, for pulling this one out.
Oh, it's fantastic. I've had one of these before, and I was fortunate enough to go by there on my way back from my beer festival in Asheville, North Carolina. I attended recently with our other beer nut, Ross, from North Carolina. And on the way down, actually, I went right by Athens, Ohio. I kind of planned my route to go right by the brewery, which was on my way, and was able to pick up some great beers from them. But this might be my favorite beer I've ever had from them, and that's saying a lot because almost everything they make, especially their bourbon barrel selections, are phenomenal, and this is no exception. We didn't want to bust out any stouts because our next episode, thankfully, is going to be on the opening of stout season, which arguably has probably already occurred, but we're going to formally, on our next episode, introduce the opening day of stout season instead of deer season. But this is phenomenal. It's just it's got that dark fruits that you covet in a barley wine. It just takes barley wine to a next level. Some barley wines are see-through. Not this one. This is it's a deep brown. It's as brown can be, and just tons of caramel. Great flavors in this thing. It's complex. You gotta drink it to believe it. It's almost indescribably good.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say Athens, Ohio. I mean, I'm learning here. I never knew where Jackie O's was, and I've been doing some genealogy research lately on the Jett family name. Is my last name, but nearby there in that general vicinity near Athens is where a lot of my dad's ancestors came from. So I've been planning a trip now that I'm retired. I've been looking at my maps and my atlas, and as soon as we get a chance, we're going to pull out with the trailer and head south. And this region was one region that I plan to go to. So now, for sure, Jackie O's is on my list. So thanks for that tip, JR.
Well, another tip on anybody that goes to visit, because it's a nice ride. It's 4 or 5 hours from the Detroit metro area, but it's right near not too far from the West Virginia border with Ohio. It's in southeast Ohio, but
right over the river.
What you really need to know is there are 2 Jackie O's in Athens, and the first time I went, it was on my way home from a beach trip in the Outer Banks. I had my whole family in the car with me, and I just had to stop. So I was getting the rolling of the eyes from the wife, and the kids are like, "Why do we have to stop at another brewery, Daddy?" But I didn't know that there is a brew pub and a tap room, which the tap room is more of the brewery. It's the brewery and the production facility, whereas the brew pub is just a downtown. So of course I had a 50-50 chance and chose the wrong one, the brew pub. So we got off the exit, we got lost a couple times, and it took me about 15 minutes to find this brew pub. And then on our way out of town, just as we're about ready to get back on the highway, there's this production facility like a block from the highway, right off the highway that you would have taken. So obviously, my second trip there, I went right to the production facility, much easier access in and out, and they make I tout their barrel aged series, but they also have a phenomenal sour program. They have some great Berliner Weisses that I've had. A very wide portfolio of great beers there. And, my only regret is every time I've gone there, I was on my way somewhere and, had to get back on the road and get a chance to belly up to the bar and enjoy a couple other offerings. So next time I go there, if I make another trip down south, I'm going to plan my overnighter in Athens so I can stay there and get my money's worth. And I'll just spend an evening there so I can enjoy these great beers at their firm.
It's not like it's right off an interstate. I mean, it's more like a state road.
It is a state road, but it's still like 65, 70, so it's not a big deal because, and there's parts of it where you go through towns and you got to slow down to 40, but majority of the trip is like, 55, 70 mile an hour roads that it's not that bad. But, it should be an interstate. Maybe Ohio someday will get that corrected, but hey, it's not that bad of a trip. And if you're going to points south, like I was headed to North Carolina, you can make it on your way, and it's well worth making that a stop. Highly recommended.
I plan on it now. Thank you.
So that should about wrap things up. Let's go around the horn. Any final thoughts, Dugout, before we sign off?
No, not really. Just I enjoyed the beer I had tonight. Would have loved to try some of the stuff. I'm going to go out and get that Deschutes. I saw it at the store right by my house, as well as a couple others. That one that I had to give a shout out to, and I saw was the Imperial Mayan Mocha Stout. Maybe I'll pick that up for next week.
That's a good pick.
And I don't think they get a whole lot of like multiple cases of it, so I better get back to the store tomorrow and pick some of that up.
Yeah, I've seen it around lately. Yep.
Well, and the Oddside also had a big release last weekend. They have their Bourbon Barrel Imperial Mayan Mocha Stout. Another one called the Nightman Leaveth. I think that's a stout with, I believe there's vanilla in that one. And there's the sweet potato souffle rye barrel whiskey.
Hipster. Yeah.
No, not hipster. They didn't do that, and they did do Hazel's Nuts, which has the hazelnuts in it. So the barrel aged version of that. So
not to get off topic or anything. I just thought that was one I could have done tonight, and like I said, I'll save that one for next week.
Right. Well, I know that all of us beer nuts really enjoy stouts, and we're all chomping at the bit for next week's episode because it's right in our wheelhouse. So look forward to next episode. Will be the opening of stout season versus the opening of beer season. So look forward to that. And as they say in old Mexico City, AMF.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook by searching for Christopher Media. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Thank you in advance for supporting Christopher Media by clicking on the PayPal button and by clicking through to all the sponsors who support ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net, and thank you for listening. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.